Well, hello and welcome to Talking Bulldogs. It's a new show me and Matt are putting together on a weekly basis, which hopefully many of you will come to listen to from the estate agency and property industry. Um, so, Matt and I work with a lot of estate agents. We coach and help estate agents as well as having our own estate agency. And we kind of work with sort of 7-step framework that we coach people on. And one of those things, we call it the North Star thinking, which is to do with people's vision and purpose. And that's what we want to kind of get into today and sort of unpick a bit. Matt, do you want to sort of explain to people what North Star thinking is really?
Yeah, so obviously it was something that we were introduced to by a coach that we had, and then we continue to work with. I think the real easy way to describe it is it's like sitting in a car, knowing you want to go somewhere, so putting your foot on the accelerator without turning the sat nav on. So you get a lot of people that go the other way. You get a lot of people that plan all these routes, and then never actually put their foot on the accelerator. So they're thinkers, they're not doers. And you get some other people, much like us at the start of our ownership of estate agents. You're a really good estate agent. You go, I'm going to own my own. You kind of get into it, and you just get so caught up in doing the doing. The phones are ringing. You're out door knocking, prospecting, whatever, and you get so caught up in doing the doing. You're going somewhere, but you don't really know where you're going. I think most people really get about 2 years in, feel a bit of burnout, working all hours, but you just have this. You're not really sure what it's all for. So your North Star, very simple, is where you want to be and where you want to get. So it's just about being clear on what you want to do, why you want to do it, and where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good point you make, because actually I think if people don't do this, you can actually end up, building yourself a massive business that you might not have actually wanted. So if you don't design what you're going to kind of build and where you want to go, you can actually end up building yourself something you actually didn't want in the first place, and finding yourself in a bit of difficulty there.
I think a lot of the time, all people end up doing is building themselves a job, but they've also got the responsibility of paying the wages as well. So, you know, um, the amount of business owners that I know who have money to go and enjoy things but don't have the time to do it is that. And the North Star is about what you want really, professionally, personally, and financially. So yeah, it's what you want your business to look like, but also what you want your personal life to look like. Because anybody who starts their own business always says, "Oh, this fucking work-life balance nonsense that's tossed around as if you're only going to work 3 hours a day and spend the
Mm.
rest of the time on the beach." And we all know that's not true, right? For the first couple of years, you have to work every hour. You just have to do that. We might as well dismiss that fallacy at the start. When you first open a business, work-life balance doesn't really exist. But as you start going, you don't want to be doing that for 5, 10, 15 years, because you're going to miss time with your loved ones if you've got kids, even just time to yourself. A lot of people talk about, oh, time with the family, but time to yourself is important. So what you want to do is you want to know why you're building your business. So are you doing it just to earn loads of money? And that's great. But then also, what does that money empower you to do? Or are you building a business where you can have time back to do things with your family? So I think what's really important, is kind of what's documented gets done, really. So it's to actually write it down, because once you write something down, you commit it more to memory anyway. That's just a fact. But then you can reference back to it. So it's actually to kind of say to yourself, what do I want? And you can do it in stages. So I mean, you can do 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, 2-year, 1 year. If I'm honest with you, I struggle with five. When people say to me, "Where do you want to be in 5 years?" I kind of struggle with that a little bit. And I know that's a big thing. Everyone's meant to know where they want to be in 5 years, but I think life changes. But you can really break it down. What do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to be in a year? Right? How much money do you want to be earning? How much free time do you want to have? Do you want to be playing golf? Do you want to be taking the kids swimming? And if you've got it, then you can reference back to it. And I think that, I mean, a very good friend of mine, very successful businessman, he reads his every single day. So that just wake up in the morning, read your North Star, and that kind of sets you up for the day. I like to kind of reference mine to when making business decisions. So if someone says, "Oh, we want to do this, or should we do that?" Well, okay, does saying yes to that opportunity get me in that direction, or does it take me away from it? And that kind of helps you to say yes or no to things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think doing the review of it is really important, and that's because in all areas of business, actually, the review is quite important, because if you don't look back and see what progress you've made or review things, obviously you get stuck in one sort of situation. But I think the other thing is, I mean, just going, I'm picking it a bit further. It's quite a deep, like, I know you're saying you can do it just 1 year, but it can be, and it should be in some respects, quite a detailed document, because people, we might say to people, what do you want from your business? And they say, well, I'd like to have 10 staff and a couple of offices and this, that, and the other. But I think it's important to actually then dig down into, well, why do you want that? And what are the consequences of having that? Because if one of your things is you want to spend more time with the family, and then you build a business that's got X amount of staff, but there's a lot of steps that come with that. Then you've got to train the staff, then you've got to invest in them, etc. So I think it's important that people are doing quite a detailed kind of plan of to actually what it is you want, why you want it, and how you're going to get there.
Yeah, most definitely, because everything. Listen, every up comes with a down, right? So you're right. If you take it on the very basics, if you want loads and loads of money, don't employ anybody, then so you get loads of money. The downside is you don't have any time. If you want loads of free time, you have to employ loads of team members. So the upside is you get all your time. The downside is you don't get as much money, right? And that's the basics. So no, you're entirely correct. It has to be detailed, and it has to be. It's not just. It can't just be pie in the sky, right? So your North Star isn't, I want a 7-bed house and drive a Ferrari. Okay. It actually has to be, you have to look more into your values. And this is where, you probably even go back a step and you start with your vision and your mission statements for the company. That's something that we did at the very start. And then, what is your North Star line? And also you have to, it depends if you've got business partners. So like me and you, we have different kind of North Stars, and where we want to go. They kind of, you can have your own journey. They can be on a similar path, but they can have slightly different destinations, or you can have different paths to the same destination. Me and have done that. I went to university, you went out to work, and so we took different paths that way, and we've ended up at the same destination, owning this business together. So yeah, it's not just about making just a statement. Oh yeah, I want to be a millionaire. It's actually, what do you want? Why do you want it? And what if you get there, what does that mean to your life and to the lives of those that are important to you? And reviews are good, because it's important to review it, because again, life can change, right? So you might make your initial North Star when you're single, and then a couple of years down the line you get in a relationship, or you might be in a relationship and then you're not in a relationship. And so that's where but that's why it can't exclusively be about the business. Your personal life has to come into it, because as a business owner, you are who you are. So your personal life is going to impact your business life, and your business life is going to impact your personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So let's talk about, what does the document look like, and it has got 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or however many years people want to plan by. But it does also have a personal section and a business section, doesn't it? And then you've got to, because as you rightly say, if you don't do this, you could end up with a business that's not giving you what you want in your personal life, or a personal life that's not allowing you to achieve what you want in your business. So you've got to get some alignment between those two things. And so this document that people can produce should have both of those elements on it.
Yeah, most definitely. I believe in work-life synergy, as to a balance, as it was explained to me once. It's two opposing forces pushing against each other. Synergy is where it's all intertwined, and it is. If you're a business owner and you're a true entrepreneur, like me and you, how often do people said to us, "Oh, what's your hobby?" And we go business. Like me and you will just chat about work, and sometimes I remember it in our early days, you felt a bit boring because you weren't saying, "Oh, I like jumping out of a plane every Wednesday afternoon," but you are who you are, all right? And we like business. You love tinkering under the bonnets of business, or the finances side of things. I like working with people. So you do that. So I think it's about having, so the synergy of work and life is having the time. If you want to nip out and pick your kids up from school, but then you're going to work till 7 o'clock at night, that's fine. You get your business running to suit you and your life. It doesn't mean I only work 9 to 5. I never do this. So yeah, I think you need to document it, work on it, but regularly review it, because as your personal life changes, so will your business aims. And as your business takes off, it will afford you to do different things. Because when you first start, right, a lot of people don't have the self-belief that they can do these things or go, but as your business takes off and you start proving to yourself how successful you can be, then in your personal life, you'll start saying, well, actually, I do want these bigger holidays I didn't want to mention at the start because I thought they were out of reach. And so you can kind of, it'll flow and you can adjust it as you go.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So how do people do this then? I mean, we obviously did this with a coach, with like an accountability partner who was able to ask us some sort of deep questions and dig in and find out how what it is we actually wanted and why we wanted it, etc. But if someone's not working with a coach, how do they go about doing it, do you think?
So I suppose we should give a shout out to Will Polston anyway, who kind of showed us it.
Yeah.
And Will has a book, North Star Thinking, that people can go and read. But I think very very basically, you just model out. Say the three framework we were showed was where do you want to be professionally, personally, and financially. So you start again if you can do it. 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 year, 1 year, 6 months. Some people struggle to think that far ahead. So, like personally, I would probably go 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. That's where I'd start, and I would just say, in 3 months' time, what does my personal life look like? Am I seeing my friends? Am I taking my girlfriend, wife, not both together, out on dates? Am I taking the kids swimming? Am I picking the kids up from school? Professionally, how many hours am I working? How many listings are we doing? If I want to do 40 listings, how many values do I need to do that? And you just kind of break it a little bit like KPIs, where we say, right, we need 20 listings, so we need to do 50 valuations, and you work out my average fee needs to be this. Just do that with you with kind of your personal life, really. And then so that's at 3 months. 6 months, do I want to grow? And it's okay. 3 months and 6 months can be the same, because it's only a few months. Then obviously your year's going to be a bit bigger. In 5 years, I imagine you're going to want your team to be bigger, and kind of teams go there. And if you struggle to do it, if you're like, well, I don't think I want a team, so I only want to work by myself. Okay, that's fine. But then you probably need to go more into your personal side of things and go, in 5 years, am I going to be happy working 70 hours a week? Well, no. Well, okay, then I am going to have to make adjustments on the professional side, and go from there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because people sort of think, well, of course I'm going to go out and see my friends and things like that. But actually, as your business takes off and you get dragged into it, and if you haven't, if you're struggling or you haven't done any of this kind of stuff before, it's really easy to not go out and see your friends enough, and to not go out with your partner enough, and to not see your kids enough sometimes. So yeah, it's sort of, I think people don't realise sometimes actually, if you've got to decide how many times you want to see your friends a week. And then you can actually make a conscious decision that, well, actually, I want to go out with my mates for a beer every week, or I want to go and play football every week, or whatever the case may be. One of my things is I have to be able to go and see the ice hockey every week. You know how obsessed I am with that. And that's just like a non-negotiable for me in my personal life and in my business life. And so, that's kind of there. That's documented. I've realised that, so that I don't allow anything to pull me away from that. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because most people wouldn't think, oh, I've got to plan out when I'm going to see my mates. And obviously, as you say, it's not a rigid thing, but it's just actually you've got to build the life you want, not let your business decide what you get out of life.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, time moves fucking fast. So there won't be a person listening to this that hasn't said to a mate, oh, let's catch up for a beer. It's that classic, let's catch up for a beer. I guarantee if you search your WhatsApps for the word beer or wine or dinner or cinema or whatever, you've texted somebody 6 months ago. They've gone, yeah, tell me when you're available. And you have a message because time moves on. So it is, as much as we're not robots and everything, you don't have, Dave diarise all the time. And like, I have a couple of mates, we try and meet up every quarter. That's our thing, right? So every quarter, just go for a Chinese and a bit of a catch up. But if you don't do that, time moves fast. So again, if you're not, and again, by referring to the North Star, if you wake up in the morning and you go, kind of, your North Star is to have hit this target, hire this many people, you go, yeah. But if your North Star was also take the wife out, catch up with Dave for a curry, and you go, shit, I haven't phoned him for like 3 months. Then again, it just, and I maintain, if you're happier in your personal life, you'll be happier at business. And if you're happier at business, you will be more productive. So the two are very, very much intertwined.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's important to say, I mean, one of the questions I was thinking is like, when should people do this?
Day one.
Ideally, yeah, day one. But if they haven't done it day one, then as soon as they hear about it, basically, isn't it?
Mate, the best time to plant a tree is today or 50 years ago, or 50 years ago or today is the saying. So yeah, if we should have all done things on day one, but we weren't all born business owners. Most of us were really good estate agents who started a business and then didn't know what the fuck we were doing really for a bit, right? So you paddle like mad and get there. But yeah, don't worry, it's never too late to have done it. If you've been in business for 10 years, now do it. Work out what you want, get some clarity. Because if without clarity, it's like trying to build a house without the architect's plans, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there's a hell of a lot more that goes after this. As I said, we've got sort of a 7-step framework, but this really has to come first, because otherwise, what we do is we start looking at people's marketing, we start looking at people's conversions and sales and everything else that goes along with running an estate agency business. But if we haven't done this right at the start, we're sort of we're building blindly, and we're building something that they might not even want. So that's why this has got to come at the start of anyone's journey. When someone decides, right, I need to make a change, or I want to grow my business, come back to this as like step one, get that clarity, as you say, get that set, and then move on from there.
Yeah, all day long, because you might, and I am an advocate for working with a business coach or a mentor or consultant, whatever the framework is. Ideally, that someone that's actually owned their own business would be a start. But you get someone that comes in all gung ho, and and they don't do this with you. They're there telling you, right, we're going to smash this target, we're going to get this amount of business into. You might be sitting there thinking, Christ Almighty, this isn't what I wanted. And ultimately, it is your business, and you'll see a lot online, and everyone's having it off and doing so well, and we get a bit drawn into that. But really, it's your business. So if you want to list, I mean, I met an agent once who sells 10 houses a year, right? But his average fee is 30 grand. So that does him fine. So a business coach coming in and showing him how to list, 15 houses a month, he wouldn't need that. So work out, that's why you need to start this. You need to work out what you want, because it's your business. So what you want, and it's your life. So what you want from your business to facilitate your life. And then once you've got that clear, you can then start doing, or actually laying the bricks to build the kind of the house that you want.
Yeah. And there might be people watching this or listening to it who are in a similar situation to me, and you're either a family business, so there's 2 or 3 owners, or a business partner. I think we should just dig into that a little bit more as well, in how do you get that kind of alignment where perhaps people have got slightly different personal goals, because that's important, isn't it? Because otherwise, that's a really important thing actually, is that even if your goals are different, you're still sort of on the same heading as such, because you don't want 2 business partners pulling in different directions.
No, exactly. There's no point having, if you really break it down really and make it really overly basic, there's not one business partner that goes, I want to list 5 houses a month and work 2 hours, 2 hours a week, and somebody else saying, well, I want to list 50 and do that. That's not going to quite work. So it is important. I think the main thing with it is honesty. And I think me and you had a bit of an awakening with this, because I think, listen, we had our business and we were working really hard. And some months it flew and some months it didn't. But on the whole, it's always done okay, right? The upward trajectories. And we've always kind of wanted we kind of knew what we wanted, but we never really said it out loud. We do have slightly different visions and we have different drivers. That's probably the word for me. We're like the same goal. We have different drivers. But ultimately, we want a business that can run itself, pay us a good wage, and afford us the time to spend with our family and our loved ones, right?
Yeah.
But we have slightly different drivers as to why we want it and want to get it. And we have different interests, as I kind of say, you love the mechanics, the numbers, all that, the data. I'm not a data guy at all. I don't, I like dealing with the people side of things. And I've got this obsession with making a state agency a more of a valid profession, right?
Mm.
And I think I remember, as you probably do, the meeting we had when we were sitting down, and we I think we just both were honest, and we were like, this is what I want, and this is what I'm like. You said something different to me, and I said something different to you. But then by doing that, we then worked out, could we get here, right? So like, for argument's sake, we need to get to the number 10, yeah? You want to get to number 10 by adding 6 and 4 together, and I want to get there by adding 7 and 3 together. But that's okay. It worked out how you could do 6 and 4, I could do 7 and 3, but we still both made 10.
We still get to the same goal at the end of the day, yeah. And but I think there's probably a lot of people out there who may be sitting there thinking, and it's difficult when you've got business partners, isn't it? Because it's especially if they're your mate or they're your brother or your sister or your mum and dad. Sometimes that can really rumble underneath that partnership, actually. And when you do something like this, it is a light bulb moment, and it really sort of helps you to grow as a partnership. Because otherwise, you can get that kind of like sort of resent almost setting in and rumblings underneath the partnership, because no one's clear on where we're going.
And I also think it's being clear on. So we've talked a lot about being clear on what you want, but you say it's being clear on what the other person wants. So if you're in a part, so for me it was a light bulb moment, right? So and every partnership knows it happens because you just start jarring about little things, and little things start niggling you and that kind of thing. But once you do it, it's not just, well, I want this and I want this. It's if you are willing to understand, look for it. So I was like, oh shit, that's what Neil wants. Like and even though listen, mate, I know you better than anybody, you know me better than anybody, but you still don't know everything.
Yeah.
And so when it's there, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's what he wants. No, I can work. Well, actually, I can make this concession because that gets me where I want to be. And you were like, oh, okay, yeah, I see it from that side of you. And I think that's a main thing. So I mean, you can say, hard conversations for an easy life, easy conversations for a hard life, but it doesn't need to be really hard. It just needs to be looking at it from understanding and clarity. And once you not only know what you want, but you fully understand what the other person wants and why they want it. And look, if you both work out, I only want to own a sales business, I only want to own a lettings business, then you're going to have to do something about it. But more often, if you find what the common ground is, you can find a way to get there. But you only ever get that with complete honesty and transparency.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny enough, I was just listening to you talking about it. It's basically the same. It's almost like you need to do that with your husband or wife partner as well, don't you? Because it's another form of relationship. And if people want different things and that's not discussed, that can lead to problems. So that's just where we're demonstrating, I guess, this personal business life all intertwines. And that's why this is all so important, because you might have your partner sitting at home thinking, why the hell is he or she going out, working all these hours, doing this stuff, telling me it's so important to be on social media doing this? Why are they doing it? And if you haven't explained it to them and said, well, look, what I'm trying to build is this, is that something you kind of want as well? You could lead to problems at home as well.
100%. I think there's a vicious cycle that many people go through where especially if your partner isn't in the business and you are, you're working all hours, to try and build this business. You feel guilty that you're not spending enough time with that person. So what you do is you work more hours because in your head, I'm going to make loads of money and one day it will be okay. But that person's thinking they don't want to spend any time with me. Because if you just stopped and said, listen, I feel really bad for not spending any time with you. So I'm trying to make myself so much money. We could do really nice things. And that person kind of goes, well, I understand that, but just, I'm not really worried about that. I'd just rather we went out for a Chinese once a month.
Yeah.
then the pressure's off you for a start. They understand you do want to spend time with them, but again, it's just conversations. And I maintain, I mean, like, there's always that business is business, but I always say people are people. And the one common denominator you've got, I've never met a businessman or woman who isn't a human being, right? And I've never met a stay-at-home partner who isn't a human being. Be weird if it was. So, ultimately, you've all got that, and so you just need to have open conversations at home and at work. This is my goal. This is my goal. I want this house. Well, I want to live in the village. I want to live in the city. You'll have those conversations at home and at work. I want to do this. I want to do that. And once you know where you are, once you know where the other person is, it becomes so much easier to get there. And when you go off on a tangent and do something, the other person kind of goes, "Well, I know why he's doing that," or I know why she's doing that, and it becomes kind of easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, after people have done that and they've got clear on what their goals are, where they want to be in life, then they can start implementing the other parts of the framework, which is obviously getting their finances right, understanding the finances, building a financial plan, because only then you can then build, right, well, what marketing plan do we need to achieve that? What KPIs do we need to achieve that? And so on and so forth. So really and truthfully, this is almost like the foundation stage of a business, really, isn't it? Oh, actually, not just a business, the foundation stage of your whole life and growth as a personal development, really.
Yeah, no, exactly. You should, as I say, it's everything. It really is. It's just so important. It is the foundation of your life. And I know that sounds like a big statement, but it really is, because you will get to an age, and you will look back and think something in you will just not feel right, and you'll be like, why have I wasted this time kind of doing that? And that's the only thing. We can teach you how to get money all day long, but the one thing no one can ever show you how to get back is time.
Mm.
So that's the key. Is you do not want to get to a state, look back and go, I wish I'd done that. I mean, we do, mate. How many things do we wish we'd done sooner, right?
Yeah.
So, and that you're always going to have that. We're not ever going to eradicate that. But if you can get this plan in place for your life, business and personal, and they're going to work together, the sooner you do that, the better.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's hopefully that's given people some kind of inspiration and some things to think about. And I'm looking forward to doing this show every week, mate, and sharing this out into our business community.
Same, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I have a very basic North Star template that I'm happy to share with people. If they want, send me a message and we can sort something out.
Yeah, brilliant. Actually, just one final thing is, just to clarify, people don't have to walk around with a big sort of booklet on this in their pocket, do they? We're a big fan of the Google Docs, because you can update it on the go, view it from any device. So yeah, if people want to get in touch and they want a template, Matt will be able to share that with you. And look forward to next week's episode.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, see you soon.